Welcome to Actual Play, this very special episode of Actual Play, the Big Bad Con Online hosted by Strash, Atlas Reckoning game on Actual Play. Whoa, there's too many colons in that sentence. Hi, all. Welcome to the game.
Hi.
Let's just kick this off. First off, just two quick things. One, if you're not coming to Big Bad Con, you should really consider it. It's a great convention that Sean puts together every year in San Francisco. Did I get that right?
It's in Walnut Creek. It's close to San Francisco.
I am going there, so I will be there, even though I'm not 100% sure. I might get my cons mixed up sometimes. So I will be there this year, and I was there last year. I had a great time. So as part of setting up this Kickstarter, Sean has asked some cool folks to run some cool games, and you should keep your eye out on Twitter and other social media, because I'm sure these will be announced there. But it just so happens that we have some cool people that, as part of the Kickstarter, elected to play this cool game with me. And hopefully everyone agrees it's a cool game. I'm still not 100% sure. But we will be having some giant robots punching giant monsters here. And just to kick it off, I will ask everyone here to just take a moment and introduce yourself. Say what your name is, where we can find you online, something that people might know you from, and a giant robot anime or movie that you may have seen. So Sean, you get to go first because I'm staring at our videos and you happen to be in front of me.
I was going to say...
which Sean?
Also with Sean. What's that?
Sean Nittner. Let's start with Sean.
All right. Sounds good. I'm Sean Nittner. In this context, I think I am best known for being the host of Big Bad Con, which is happening October 13th to 15th, as Strash was mentioning. Signups are happening on Saturday at noon Pacific Standard Time. Or game signups are. So if you want to come and you want to get first crack at some of the awesome games, we have over 380 on the schedule right now. You are not too late. You can go to bigbadcon.com and sign up, and it'll be good times. What are giant robots that I'm excited about right now? I think just because Strash mentioned it, and like when we're starting to kick off, giant robots I'm excited about right now are Veritex from Macross, that like transforming planes like fly and turn into other things and have dancers that cross dress in them, and all that sort of silliness of aliens invasions and things like that. And it can be found at Sean Nittner on Twitter, Facebook, and Google Plus and G Plus and all those things.
All right. Who wants to go next? Harry, I think you're next in my lineup, so you're volunteered. Go ahead.
All right. My name's Harry Morris. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm not really online a whole lot, so I don't think you can find me. I guess if you want Gmail, it's XTHULU. I grew up with Ultraman.
Oh, classic.
A while ago. It's kind of my speed of giant robot.
Awesome. Let's see. Mr. Hayworth, I believe you're next in my lineup. So
Mr. Hayworth. I was already complaining about being old, and now you've doubled it. Thank you for that.
I'm trying to keep my Sean separate. If I say Sean,
no, it's fine. I understand. It's been confusing for years.
Yeah, we've got this all sorted out. Like, I don't know why anyone has the problem. I'm Sean Sub 1.
And I'm Sean Sub 1, right? We like to avoid confusion. Anyway, I'm Sean Hayworth. The easiest place to find me is probably here on Twitch, twitch.tv/SC Hayworth. I'm SC Hayworth pretty much everywhere except YouTube, where there's no C because I screwed it up. And I will be here and doing stuff at Big Bad Con because I always do. This year I'm running my first LARP there, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, he's going to run Inheritance, which rocks.
Inheritance is good. Do not run it for drunk people. I will tell you that right now. I made that mistake.
It's a really short game, I bet.
It was really very short. Anyway, as for giant robot stuff, I just watched Pacific Rim with my 6-year-old not too long ago. So that was entertaining. And I think the thing that I watched before that was Knights of Sidonia, which started out really good and then got really weird. And I was like, I don't know what I just watched after that. But yeah, so that's where my brain is with giant robots.
Cool. Jason, you're our last last person in the lineup here.
Wow, got the good stuff out of the way. My name is Jason Tryon. You might also know me as Jib. You can find me through the Happy Jacks RPG podcast or the Savage Worlds Weekly Wednesday GMs Hangout. You can find me on social media. Just search for Jazz is Blues. I will be at Big Bad Con because wouldn't miss it. And I will be running a couple of games there. So yeah, you can find me. My giant robots. Wow. We can go back to Macross and the like. Voltron, of course. More recently, Pacific Rim. And in the middle, you can find me at the BattleTech table, where, giant robots. I'm there.
Awesome. Just real quick to round it out, I'm Strash. You can see my handle underneath my little name. And the thing that I'm most excited about in the Giant Robots universe is Pacific Rim 2 coming out next February. Yeah! It's going to be awesome. All right.
Is it called Mako Whoops Everybody's Butt? Because that's the Pacific Rim that I wanted to see. The minute Pacific Rim ended, I was like, how about just Mako kicks all your asses? That's what Pacific Rim 2 should be.
All right. Okay, so let's talk about Atlas Reckoning really quick. Atlas Reckoning is a game that I wrote. Actually, real quick question. You mentioned the Happy Jacks podcast, Jason. I believe that one of your members played in my game at last Big Bad Con. Is that correct?
Yes, that would be Gina.
Who is awesome. And
had you been truly lucky, you would have had her here tonight instead of me. I tried to get her to come fill my spot because I wasn't sure I was going to make it home from work.
Well, I have a really cool, small, tiny story. Once we start making our characters, Gina picked a magic number, and it'll become relevant here in a minute. Anyway, Gina was awesome, and I give her mad props, and it's cool to meet you.
I agree 1,000%.
So, all right, let's have a quick chat about this game. This is a game that I wrote because I have an inordinately large love of giant mecha and also giant monsters, and I love the messy and emotional and sometimes desperate lives of all the pilots whose stories are contained within. So this game is basically, I will read you a thing because I wrote a thing, so I'm actually going to play by my own rules. So before we play, I'm going to summarize essentially what the game is about, and we're going to talk about the three conceits that everyone needs to agree to, and then we're going to make our world together. Okay? So here's the pitch. Humanity is in grave jeopardy. The massive behemoths, incomprehensible giant monsters threaten its very existence. The only thing standing in their way are the brave pilots of the Atlas Corps and the giant titans built of metal that they pilot. Atlases are the last and only bastion of defense against these monstrosities. Massive mechs, too complex to pilot alone, are controlled by pairs of pilots who merge with each other and the machine through a mechanism called the sync. So, there's three conceits that we have to agree to before we start play. The first is that the world is in jeopardy from giant monsters called behemoths. The second thing is that the only solution to the behemoths are giant mechs called atlases. And the third thing is that atlases must be piloted by two pilots at once, merging their minds via the sync. So, is everyone on board with this?
This seems appropriate, and
this is just true, right? There's I don't know what we're having to agree on. This is just this is the world else, as I know it,
right? What else could it be?
Truth, yeah.
Awesome. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is a little bit of what is the state of the Earth. So the first question on the questionnaire is where do behemoths come from? And the second question is what is the state of the Earth? But I feel like they're a little bit interlinked, so let's just go over this real quick. This game doesn't care if you're specifically on a planet, or like which planet, or exactly if you're defending a city or a spaceship or whatever. So you can play it very Pacific Rim style, where you're defending a specific city, which is your last bastion, or you can play it like Knights of Sidonia style, where humanity's on generational spaceships and you're kind of like Battlestar Galactica style, going with a fleet somewhere else, because that's the remnants of humanity, because something happened to the Earth or whatnot. Anyway, the only thing that we need to agree on 100% is that there is only some small remnant of humanity left for some reason, and the behemoths are threatening their very existence. So I've seen this played where the moon cracked like an egg and behemoths rain from the heavens. I've seen this played where they're coming from outside the solar system, where like a planet X has entered the Earth's orbit, and that's where they're coming from, and like half the battles take place in like the asteroid belt past Mars. And I've seen it played very much down to earth, where you're defending a hometown or like the last city that like everybody's hiding inside. So what do you folks feel like playing tonight? Feel free to just jump in.
I got pretty excited when you were talking about like generational ships being chased down. I think the idea of being on some like mega ship that is sort of beat and battered, and like once was maybe a weapon itself, but it's now so like tattered that all it is a transport for humanity and of course the Titans on it. I feel that kind of love right now.
I am definitely 100% down with being in outer space. Maybe like a partially completed Dyson sphere that attracted the things.
All right.
Oh, nice. So that's why they're here, is that the Dyson sphere, as it got close to completion, started attracting them, and we never got it done because they started blowing it up.
They just started wrecking it.
All right. Cool. How are you, Harry and Jason? How are you guys feeling? Are you feeling this?
Yeah, I am totally good with that. As a matter of fact, that's pretty much along the same lines that I was thinking, and I dig it.
All right. Cool. So real quick, a Dyson sphere is, at least by definition, it takes place like throughout the Goldilocks zone. It's like the size of 1,000 planets. Or do we actually want to have like a full-fledged Dyson sphere, or do we want to have like a giant space base that we were building, or like a huge ship?
I think a giant space base. I think a giant space base that like was like a space station, perhaps because we trashed the planet. And we were having to move populations off of it, would be cool. But I love the idea that it's incomplete and that it's already beat up because it's been attacked so many times.
I apologize in advance. I have to
Nice.
just
The first behemoth appears.
The first behemoth appears. Hilariously, the first well, you'll see the first behemoth. It is kind of named after a type of cat. All right, cool.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So if we're on a space station orbiting a planet, that means we're not running from them. We're, we're on a point. Is that what we want? As opposed to the original colony ship idea where we're moving away from them. I'm good either way. I just want to be clear.
Oh, that's a good point. I kind of conflated those two ideas. You're right.
It's up to everyone. Any preference?
I personally like the idea that we're stuck in one spot. Like this is just where we are, and running isn't an option anymore.
Cool.
But I also don't want to be overbearing. So
no, I mean they both pose like, if you have the like Battlestar Galactica, we're running through space and space itself is an enemy, that's a whole fun set of threats. But if you have the we're stuck and we've run as far as we can, and this is the last place we can run to, like we've abandoned the Earth and all we have left is the station, that creates a more imminent, we have 3 hours to do this, folks, so let's have that final fight or final fights right now feeling. So I think that's good. I think it's cool. Solid.
So I'm hearing 2 votes for station. Harry, Jason, how do you feel about this?
I'm good either way.
Go ahead, Harry.
I'm good either way. Station
Awesome.
sounds cool.
All right, so let's talk about where do the behemoths come from? Is this a native system to them and they're raining from some planet that we never scanned because they grow underground? Are they transdimensional beings that we didn't anticipate appearing? Do they come out of the sun? Like, where are they assaulting from?
I had a thought about this while we were talking. I'm going to channel the Expanse for just a second, and we don't actually know. We have the faintest glimmers that there is some sort of gateway way out away that we can't reach. We were hoping to reach it. We were trying to build ships to reach it, but we can't, and we're stuck. But these things just appear from out of that thing,
like a wormhole.
Like a wormhole,
okay.
A gateway.
Cool.
Can I throw a twist on that? That we sent a ship to go find the wormhole like 20 years ago, and it was supposed to make it there and like give contact once it found it, and it never gave contact. Instead, several years after we had all given up hope, these things started appearing.
I like.
And we don't know if it like we don't know what happened, if it like opened up the wormhole, if you know what it did, but instead of it coming back with "Yay, we found life beyond in space," we found
it and then decided that whatever was on the other side of the gate needed to die.
We sent them a nice gold record. They sent back monsters.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool. I can totally dig this, and we'll talk more about kind of like why we're the last remnants of humanity or whatever here in a second. All right, so cool. So our behemoths are coming through this gate that's just a little ways out of reach. We sent a probe ship through. It never came back. It sent us monsters. All right, cool. I dig it. So the next question is, what is the state of the Earth? So did we abandon the planet? Is it we don't care because our lives are on the line? Like we traveled out here and we can't quite make it back. It was like a one-way ticket. Like how did we end up in this system, and why is this not a place that we can just basically be like, we're out?
I kind of like the idea that we trashed Earth.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think we sorry, go ahead, Harry.
Yeah, are we orbiting Earth? So we're in orbit of the useless Hulk down there. That's a reminder to us. Yeah.
I think we tried a bunch of conventional weapons to fight them, and all it did was destroy our planet.
Well, oh, that's interesting. So what you're saying is that at some point, humanity detected a gate outside of the radius of the Earth, and we created a ship and sent it there, and then monsters came to Earth, and Earth is potentially dead, or could have been already kind of shitty because we've got hurricanes and fires. It could have been falling apart for other reasons.
Yeah.
And so we built a giant space station, maybe devouring a lot of the metal in, say, like the Mars belt or whatever. And that's where we're orbiting. Is it still around Earth, or are we orbiting Mars, or like where do you guys want to be?
I think we're orbiting Earth. I think we're orbiting, like we have the perpetual reminder in our rearview mirror of like the wreckage. Like we get to see all the time the dead planet that we left behind.
Right. The disaster that we left
the disaster, behind. Right. It's still maybe on fire too. Like there's still parts of it that are like horribly irradiated, and like it's totally, you can't go back.
Right.
But that's what we're orbiting. That's what the space station, you know.
Awesome.
I mean, and horrible super hurricane level storms raging across the planet all the time.
I dig it. So follow-up question: are you guys? Do you want to stick with the space station? Because the Atlas core could be on a space station. But my next question is like, is there a Luna City? Did humans make it all the way out to Mars, or is it just corporations that are mining out there? This is the Expanse question, right? Like, did we make it to Europe?
Yeah. I wonder if like we figured out how to make a sustainable station out there, but just couldn't hack it on Mars. Like it was just too logistically complicated.
Yeah. Or the Mars colony was the first place to get hit, like as they came in.
That's also fine.
They chewed that up and then came after the like we had started some terraforming, and we had we'd been done a bunch of mining, but it was not nearly as well defended.
All right, cool. So what I'm hearing is people really like this idea of a space station. Like we made it pretty far, but the humans wrecked a lot of our forward progress, and now we're kind of trying to hold the line, right? Like is that we all good with that?
Sounds good.
All right, awesome. Next up, that answers the state of the Earth. The next question is, what are we defending? What is the last bastion of humanity? So let's pick a name for our space station.
Names are hard.
Names are the worst.
So are you guys planning to put giant engines on the space station and leave orbit, or is this supposed to be like your last bastion? Because like names are different. Like if it's supposed to travel, it could be some ship name like the Nautilus or something.
Yeah.
But if you're planning to like hold, then I mean you could call it something as simple as bastion.
I think I would like the idea that it was never intended to be the final place. It was like the jump off point to the Mars colony. And it was, once you broke an orbit, that was a lot of the work. So a lot of our like launching to our Mars colony happened here. Like no one ever thought this was just a launching point. But in the end, everything else has collapsed, and this is where we've had to retreat to. It's not like the best defended. It's not like it's it's not even like the pinnacle of our achievement. It's just what's left. So I like the idea of it being sort of a waypoint, but not intended to be at least originally not intended to be.
So do you want to just call it waypoint?
That's what I was thinking. I don't know if that
I like it.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds like one advantage it might have is a lot of supplies that were intended to go out to Mars.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that it actually probably has certain like greenhouses and like solar farms
Right.
That are near it. Like you can actually see the bubbles with the green in them growing in all directions because 0G, right? And it looks good on screen.
Yeah, I agree. I think the inverse, though, is that because it was not originally intended as a military base, it doesn't have the best defenses in the world. And,
I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
All right, super cool. So the next question is, why are atlases the only solution to the behemoth problem? So what I wrote here is, modern warfare clearly doesn't use giant mechs, and they're unreasonable for a large variety of reasons. So what stops conventional weapons, such as bombs, tanks, planes, etc., from working? When were the atlases built? Are they new, or were they on hand and repurposed from something else? In order to have authentic buy-in, it's important to come up with an answer, even if it relies on a MacGuffin. So, for example, if the behemoths are partially phased into a different reality, and there's only a few Eisenhower drives or something, our plot device on these mechs, then they must be mounted on these vehicles, and we only have 3 of them. So that's why like atlases are like the thing that's doing the thing. So why are we using atlases to fight behemoths? What's our gimmick here?
I have an idea, but I'd want to kind of. It's very similar to the last time I played it, so I'm excited. I'm excited to hear other reasons for this.
What if it's just like we tried like human machine interfaces, not with beagles like I have upstairs, but with like conventional like military weaponry, and it's just like it's too foreign for human minds to
I like it.
grasp.
I love it.
Something humanoid is just it like
there was no way to translate the movements of a human coming through this neural interface to a tank, but we could translate movements and basically just write them large. We could manage that interface. It would work.
Cool.
I like
cool.
it.
Nice.
So the next question that I have for you is, were these atlases built previously for another purpose? Like, were they mining mechs that like worked in the belts, or were they actually like designed right now to like fight the behemoths? Like, or was it that there were prototype mechs that were supposed to eventually go and do something like mine the belt, but they were in space, they were being assembled, they were testing the HMI, like the human machine interface thing, and then the behemoths appeared, and some people that were like really high on the register for sync ratios like did the fuse and actually stopped the first behemoth that came for the base, and they were like, oh, this works, let's use that.
I like that a lot. I like the idea that we have been, this was, like I said, like Waypoint wasn't the pinnacle of our technology, but it was where some of it was being developed. And so
Okay.
we were on Waypoint, and this was going to be like the next, I think we'd kind of abandoned the whole like wormhole idea. We're like, didn't work. Maybe we'll send another probe. And we were just determined to terraform Mars, and these were going to be the machines that could do like huge level of efficient terraforming and like massive mining operations. And they're going to be able to send people, just a few people, to a very environmentally hazardous place to accomplish great things. So there are these big machines. They only needed 2 people to pilot them. But that was like the pinnacle of our technology before they came. I don't know if how that sounds to you guys.
No, that would be cool. It would be cool if they were like originally intended to be remotely piloted so that humans didn't have to do it. And that just like there was too much lag when the monsters got here.
Yeah, you can't fight when you have a 15-second delay.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So
There's
the whole crew
like
compartment is put on as an afterthought.
Oh, that's so good.
Nice.
I like the intro to this show shows like the early development as like somebody is piloting one remotely on Mars, and they're like trying to do this drilling operation, and it's really clumsy, and they're like, well, we got to get that latency down, right? Like that was way back when, before the attacks, before everything else.
And then it shows like the blueprints for the first cockpit.
Yeah.
I dig it a lot. All right, so this is the last question, and it's an important question sort of for the campaign. It's probably not going to be super important for us right this second. But the last question is, how can humanity win? So, in other words, the behemoths, like this is kind of like a sort of a Dunkirk or like a Battle of Britain kind of thing, where the behemoths get stronger and stronger and stronger. But if they're coming from a place, do we shut it down? Do we cross the threshold and fight them in their homeworld? Do we find some way to like, I don't know, like a anti-behemoth mutagen or something? Like what is like the win condition? Like how do you finish the giant battle that seems like it's never going to end? What's the spark of hope, the one plan that humanity has up their sleeve?
Making it out to the wormhole and closing it?
Yeah. If we could just get to this device, whatever it is out there, and destroy it or permanently close the gate, then they can't get here.
Awesome.
Maybe the wormhole. Maybe we traced. Maybe there's some sort of kind of umbilical cord. So sort of energy that's coming in through the wormhole. Sort of radiation that's coming into the wormhole that they need. And if we could close it, we would cut them off from it. Or is it that we want to close it and just kill all the ones that are out here right now? What do you guys think? Like, what would we do about the behemoths that are here? We just know that if we close it, no more can come.
Do something to it.
Yeah.
Hopefully
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I was going to say, maybe we theorize that they have some connection back to where they come from through this thing. And if we destroy it, that they won't have that, and they'll die, or they won't function or something.
Yeah. Can we attribute? Can we give them attributes, Strash? Can we say things about the behemoths?
Yeah,
no?
Absolutely.
What if they're sort of Borg-like? They have some sort of central intelligence or we fathom that they do. Like.
There's a signal that comes through the portal.
Yeah, and so maybe they wouldn't like necessarily die, but they'd be cut off from their instructions.
You're killing their internet connection.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
we dropped their Wi-Fi.
Right.
Okay.
Damn it, this is why you make behemoths not require a connection to function.
I suspect that this also gives us a good excuse, because the way it works is like you guys fight behemoths, and then there's like a killing blow moment where like the behemoth is vulnerable and somebody plays a card and they're like, so like if you can destroy their like CPU or their central like whatever, then that gives you a very plausible anime reason for being able to take them out after a significant fight, because you gotta reveal it first, right?
Right.
Well, right. Like they might have these crazy, amazing like super fast responses, and they have like all the sensory input data that they have that make them really, really hard to target. But if you cut them off from the signal, it's going to slow them down and confuse them and disorient them and set them up.
Awesome.
I
I dig it.
like it.
All right, cool. So now we know a little bit about our world. Like we designed this together just real fast and we have like a pretty good idea. All right. So like we see the world beneath us and it is a disaster and we're all living on this base and we see a couple of like things around us that are growing farms and stuff. So we have some resources here and we know that they've destroyed our forward outposts. They're coming for us and we know how to fight them. And we know that there is a plan. Somebody is researching how to try and close this wormhole that's just outside the bounds of our solar system. Planet X. Sorry. I had 1950s sci-fi kicked in there. All right, cool.
Okay.
So now what we're all going to do is we're going to pick pilots. So I'm going to go through the archetypes real quick, and I'm going to give you like a little bit of a pitch, and maybe like if you have a question about like, oh, well, who's this based on? I'll try and give like an example or two. And then you folks should pick your pilot archetypes, and then we're going to design our mechs because you get to put little things in your mechs, and some will have missiles or swords or whatever. It'll be great. All right, so let me go through the pilot archetypes, and if one really grabs you, just say like, hey, I really want to play that, and don't be shy, don't be a samurai, don't like check to see, just be like, oh, I really want to play it, because excitement is like the lifeblood of this game. All right, so just give me a second here, get my playbooks out. All right, so the first archetype is the duty, and their quote is, the only way to win this war is to never forget who we are fighting for. So long as I stand, so long as I breathe, I'll do what I must. So the duty is the kind of no fun, stodgy believer in protocols. They tend to be the one that believes in the cause and fights because it's the right thing to do. And they're also the ones that give you the speeches when things seem the darkest and remind you why you're fighting. So
This is Stacker Pentecost.
Stacker Pentecost is actually the leader.
Oh, okay.
But this is a very common archetype. A good duty might be, if you've ever seen Gurren Lagann, Kamina is the archetype for the duty. He's the one that says like, believe in the me that believes in the you, right? Like that's the duty. All right, so just 1 second. I opened my old sheets. I need to open my schmexy new sheets. 1 second. Apologize for the delay. Because I have like all the updated quotes and stuff on them. All right, here we go. So the next one up is the engineer. Basically, if you want to be the best pilot, you should probably play something like the hotshot. But if you want to have the coolest mech, you should play the engineer. That's pretty much how it comes down to it. The engineer is, pilots may win the day, but they can't do it without atlases. It's an arms race, biology versus technology. This new weapons upgrade will give us the edge, and these new cockpit subwoofers are gonna sound amazing! Yeah. Next up is the hotshot. Hotshot's a very classic archetype. Everybody knows this. This is Isamu Dyson from Macross Plus. It's every anime lead that bucks the rules. Starbuck is a great example. And the hotshot's quote is hilarious. It's to win this war, humanity needs the best of the best. No, they need a true hero. And in case anyone here is wondering who that might be, I'll make it simple. It means me. So hotshot is definitely a badass pilot, but they're very full of themselves. They start fights, they go off base. There's all sorts of fun stuff like that. The hunter is a little bit weird. The hunter is kind of a loner weirdo. The person that I usually relate them to the most is Wolverine. This is very much the person that kind of admires the behemoths and in some ways tries to like copy their fighting styles or emulate them. The hunter quote is, the abyss didn't bother looking into us. It vomited forth monstrosities the size of cities. Some ran. I chose to stare back unflinching. If it gives us monsters, I'll become one. I am not prey. I will be the hunter. So they're kind of weird and a little violent and kind of like that brooding loner archetype. So the leader is notably the person that's willing to sacrifice anything to win the war. They're willing to sacrifice other pilots. They're willing to sacrifice mechs. They're willing to sacrifice everything, but in order to win. That's the Stacker Pentecost archetype. And yeah, the quote for the leader is, the world has tasked us with one task and one task only. Win this war. We cannot fail. We will not let humanity down. To that end, I will sacrifice everyone. I will sacrifice everything, and I will not fall no matter the cost. So, standard leader. The redemption is very much the archetype where like it's the main character from Pacific Rim, right? It's somebody who's messed up and now they're being given a second chance. So like they may have let a city fall when it was their duty to stop it from falling. Like you might have been an Atlas pilot trying to defend Mars before the behemoths crashed it, and you made a call and it was a bad call and things went south. So yeah, the redemption is not everyone gets a new opportunity or a second chance. I failed once before and here I am again. I will stand no matter what it takes. I will not fall. I will not fail again. Never again. Right. They're actually a defensive type, but they've got a lot of like pain in their past and stuff like that. It's kind of fun. The next one up is the rookie, and you can play them one of two ways. You can either be totally in awe of all the other pilots and love them a lot, or you can be very sad and play the get in the goddamn mech Shinji archetype. You know, both is okay. So yeah, the rookie's quote is, "Everyone thinks I'm special. The wonder kid, they call me. Humanity's hope. Behemoths see pilots twice my age. Maybe if I just practice and train enough, they won't realize exactly how terrified I am out there." So they're actually kind of cool because they start out without a lot of stuff and they kind of grow. So it's totally a thing. Next up is the scientist. The scientist is an interesting archetype. They're a lot like the wacky scientists that you see in a lot of anime, right? So brute strength may win a fight, but it cannot win this war. If we cannot understand our enemy, we cannot win. Knowledge and understanding are the only keys we can use to unlock our victory. They're very much a person that fights on the front line and like, you know, wants to study the behemoths even as they're like fighting them and is trying to like come up with solutions. They're a tactical archetype. They're very like teamwork oriented. All right, the next one up is the survivor. The survivor is somebody who's been around forever. They may have been like the first pilot or one of the first pilots. And the key difference between them and the leader is that the leader is all about winning and the survivor is about bringing the team home. They can take more punishment than anyone and they're just like tough, right? So like that's their shtick. They're defensive archetype, obviously. And their quote is, "The more battles you fight, the tougher you get. Scars are not some sort of prize meant to be shown off. They are memories and important lessons carved into our very flesh." So they tend to be like the grizzled veteran that's been around a while. All right. Next up is the Vendetta. This is the Makomori archetype. Everybody knows this archetype is very standard in every movie and anime that involves giant robots. It's somebody who lost something really important to them. Maybe their family died. Maybe a behemoth lit your continent on fire. Whatever it is, you're real angry and you just want to punch them all day.
Yes, let's play 4 of those.
Everybody's a Vendetta.
Well, theoretically, you can only choose one of each. So these are unique.
I'm just kidding, Sean.
Okay. But I have played a Vendetta and a Hotshot in the same mech, and it was wild. It's very aggressive. So yeah, they took what I loved. They took what I cared about. They took everything that mattered to me. Now there's only one thing left to do. I'm gonna take from them and never stop. So yeah, it's the Vendetta. So that's the 10 archetypes. 3 offensive, which is the Vendetta, the Hotshot, and the Hunter. 3 defensive, which is the Redemption, the Survivor, and the Duty. 3 tactical, which is the Leader, the Scientist, and the Engineer. And then the Rookie.
Nice.
So do any of you feel like an attraction? Are you like, I really want to play X? Or are you like, all right, I'm down to 2?
I like the Survivor.
All right.
I'm pretty much into the Hunter.
All right. That's 2 down.
Nice.
I'm between the Hotshot and the Rookie.
Oh, those are some good choices right there. Last time I played, I was the Hotshot and Ross Cowan was the Rookie, and we teamed up, and it was great. I want to play the Scientist because it seems like this science is is our one hope to like really end this war, is like find out a way to get to the wormhole and close it down. So I like the idea of trying to learn about them so we can figure out how to stop them.
So that sounds great. So Sean, you'll be the Scientist. I have to give you one heads up. Doing sensors is a little bit wonky in Roll20. So if we don't have sensors, I'll be really happy, but your basic ability should work just fine.
Okay.
Harry, do you have it? So now that you know the lineup.
I'll go ahead and be the Hotshot. Someone needs to.
Awesome. I love it. Okay. So do you guys have the link to the character sheets?
Yeah.
Do you mean the ones in Roll20, or do you mean the...
No, the actual ones with the full information.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
That's what I was thinking earlier.
All right, awesome. So feel free to go ahead and scroll down to your appropriate one. Oh, I think that's what you were printing. That makes perfect sense. All right, cool. So I'm just gonna scroll up to the hunter and play along a little bit. So to make a character, you're gonna need a couple of things: a country of origin, a name, a call sign, and then we'll do initial traits. And I'll explain traits once we get to them. So as a point of note, the Atlas Corps, by conceit, is much like many things from the 80s, a multinational organization. So if you know from your heart of hearts exactly where you want to be from and you have a full-fledged character concept, that's great. Totally go ahead with that. But I have a list of 31 countries, and if you want to pick a number, I can give you a country and give you a list of names from that country.
Oh, that's perfect.
But there is a small caveat. There is a secret number. This is where Gina's choice came into play. There is one number that is not from any country. You actually get to be an artificial person, which is a giant trope in anime.
Nice.
Cool.
You know, everything from like Rei Ayanami to like, you know, just like little robot people or AI people or like crafted people are very common. So if you pick the right number, you can be from that. Or if you just say, you know what, Strash, that's a great concept. I'm going to play with that. I'll totally let you do that.
Yeah. Josh, I would like number 7.
All right, so give me just 1 second. Sorry, I put this in a different folder, so a second. I had it open and then I had to switch to go to the character sheets, and I'm like jogging back. All right. Does anybody else have a either the same or a different number? Because it's okay if you're from the same country. It's
I had a different number.
okay. Give me just 1 second. Here we go. Haha, victory is mine, name list. Yes. All right, number 7. If you are number 7, you are from Egypt.
Sweet.
You're originally from Egypt. Would you like some names?
Yeah.
Are you a guy or a gal, or do you want to hear all the names and pick one?
I'm going to play a female character.
All right, cool. So some common lady names. And by the way, I'm not joking. I actually like looked up lady names from like I opened up like baby names. So it was like most popular baby names. Yeah. And this was like a couple of years ago, so the trend may have changed, but that was my secret research technique. So your baby names are Amisi, Femi, Isis, Masika, or Taffney. Those are the most popular baby names that year.
I like Masika. How do you spell that?
It's spelled Masika.
Masika. Perfect.
Does anybody else have a number they want to roll the dice on?
Number 9, Strash.
All right. Number 9 is Germany. You ready?
Hey, I'm German too.
That's fine. Are you a guy or a gal?
Guy.
So Christian, Egon, Franz, Lucas, or Thomas. Of course, you do not have to put on any accent. You can just say Thomas, but you know, it's probably a Thomas.
Got it.
Cool. Anybody else want a number?
28, please.
Yeah, you're from the United Kingdom,
right? I'll play a dude.
Charlie, Ethan, Harry, Jack, or Oscar?
Oscar. I'll be Ethan.
Sounds great. Harry, do you have a preference?
I'm German.
Oh, okay.
My name is Matthias.
That's perfect.
I don't have a last name yet.
I did not come up with last names, so you'll probably have to Google that.
As I say,
the final version, there will be a list of last names for you to choose as well.
I'm Googling Egyptian last names right now.
There you go. Awesome. So what we've established is the country that you were originally from before you came up, you know, like ethnically, from like before you came up into space. And then the next thing that we're going to talk about is your call sign, because like every pilot has a call sign. So you can come up with your own, which is totally fine. But I also have to have a list of random call signs per archetype.
I love this roll the dice like character generation, Josh. You have to make sure that in the final game that you can just like literally just roll through and get.
I actually made a thing called Behead Builder, which makes behemoths and pilots like just click, and tell you a thing.
Nice.
But if you have a call sign, please go ahead and write it down. If you want a name, go ahead and let me know.
I would like one.
Yeah.
Cool.
Andy pointed out, Josh, that you might want to say, do you want a name from the guy list or from the gal list? Just in case someone's not
totally.
Someone's identity is not necessarily
absolutely.
tied to the
This
list.
is not about who or what you are so much as like just some nameology that's convenient so that you can be authentic and not feel maybe a little intimidated by the fact that you have to come up with Egyptian names on the spot. Cool. So if you want a call sign, tell me your archetype and pick a number from 1 to 6.
Survivor 4.
Survivor 4. Hammerhead.
Nice.
And you can feel free to choose. You can feel free to change them up. But the Survivor suggested names are Methuselah, Ajax, Rhino, Hammerhead, Riptide, and Kodiak.
No, Hammerhead's good. I feel like a G.I. Joe character right now. Not in a bad way. Just
it's appropriate. G.I. Joe was supposed to be a multinational organization, BT Dubs. That was the pitch in the initial like intro.
In the UK, it was Action Force.
Oh. Cool.
Weird shit I know.
I think that's true of every gamer.
I think you're right. Everybody else good on call signs? Anybody else want to play call signs?
I want to get one. Hot Shot 3.
Oh. This is a classic one. It's Maverick.
Oh, no, that's too... That's
fine.
That's too on the nose.
I'll give you the list. Mustang, Nova, Maverick, Warlock, Showdown, or Apollo.
All right, I'm going to go with my own. Omega.
That sounds great.
I like it. All right, why don't we go Scientist 2?
Scientist 2? Cypher.
Cypher.
Yep.
I like it.
Full name list is Zenith, Cypher, Fractal, Merlin, Bullseye, or Lightspeed.
Oh, Cypher is good.
All right, we all set on call signs?
Yep. Mine, if you're interested, is Falke. Falke. It's German for Falcon, by the way.
All right,
Sweet.
cool. Rocking and rolling. All right. Go back to my sheet. All right, cool. So now we have come to a very important moment, which is all you pilots have to pair up because you're going to be making your mechs together. So as a point of note, the Atlas Corps in general only has 3 mechs. Those are the only things on the battlefield. That's the only things that you can make go. So each pair of you will design a mech, and you will basically you'll pick its slots and what it can do, and then I'll teach you how to officially name mechs the Atlas Reckoning way. And then I will as the individual teams all together, we will put together our 3rd mech, and then we'll go from there. So who do you guys want to pilot with? This is just for the first fight. If you get into a fight afterwards and swear never to talk to the person and pilot someone else later, it's okay.
I really want the Sean synergy.
you want to double Sean?
Yeah, I really feel like the Sean synergy is a strong suit to play.
The Survivor and the Scientist.
Yeah,
nice.
I don't know. I'm not sure that our archetypes are great, but
by not great you mean perfect, right?
They're fantastic. Yeah,
because you want to be up there, and I want to get us all home.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I think that's absolutely perfect. I want to get all the information we can about these things. Bring it home with us.
Germans.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, cool. Cool. So I don't know if you guys want to do this in chat or if we're just going to take turns and talk about it. So let me actually on Roll20, let me switch us over to the the sheets. This is going to become relevant here in a second. All right. All right. I don't know if you folks can see it, but there's 3 giant mechs at the bottom. So
There's 3 giant mechs. Aha, yeah.
Yeah. So Team Sean's will be designing mech number 1. Team Harry and Jason will be designing mech number 2, and then all together we will design mech number 3. So you folks start with very basic mechs. They're called Astraeus class. They're all named after giants. And your Astraeus class mechs are designed by putting 2 slots in the torso, which should be weapons. Generally, that's what you should be looking at, and 1 defensive mod in the legs. So just really quick, there are 3 defensive mod types. If any of these sound awesome, it's okay. Mechanically speaking, you're not going to go wrong if you put something different, or if you pick something, there's no right answer, right? So the 3 the 3 defensive modules are armor, jump jets, and shields. So if any of those speak to your teams, feel free to discuss amongst yourselves. That's going to go in your legs.
What do you think, Falcon? Jump jets?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm feeling shields. What do you think?
I agree with you, shields.
Yeah.
To not die.
Cool.
You fight,
But also to be able to get really close. Like, you activate the shield, so like when the super irradiated beast is like coming, you can like study it for a little while before the irradiation like gets through to the mech. Like,
No. No.
All right, cool. So that's settled. Now, for weapons, there's 3 close-range weapons. These are notable because they can be used over and over again. And there's 3 long-range weapons, which have a very limited ammo supply. So the long-range weapons are railguns, missiles, and plasma cannons. Those are the 3 long-range weapons. And the short-range weapons are swords, flamethrowers, and heavy fists. Now, if you take 2 of the same thing, it tends to get stronger. So if you take 2 swords, it'll be better than having 1 sword at swording. But if you take 2 different modules, you'll generally have more flexibility. It's completely up to you.
I'm a fan of something short range, simply, especially if we can reflavor something like swords or heavy fists.
You totally
under
can.
the idea that this is like originally mining equipment. Like, I'm thinking like a giant power drill or something like that was originally, that's been repurposed as a weapon rather than that looked, that of course it's deadly and dangerous, but its original conceit wasn't.
Laser sword.
Laser sword, maybe.
There we go. An old mining laser. There you go.
Cool. So I heard sword. Did you guys want anything else? Or more swords?
What was it? I like missiles because blowing
Classic.
things up is awesome. And also you can do it from a distance.
I will give you a heads up. If you want to take missiles, you probably want 2 missile modules. It's one of the ones that gets a lot better if you have multiples. It's not going to, for the first fight, it's not going to matter really, but it's just something to keep in mind.
Sure.
What were the other options?
The other long range ones were plasma cannon and railgun. Plasma cannon's
railgun.
Pretty cool. A railgun. Okay.
Railguns are fucking awesome.
Yes,
Yep.
they are.
Railguns are amazing.
All right, cool.
What are you thinking, Harry?
I can work with anything. I think you go ahead and load us out with weapons, and we'll crush the monsters.
I'm gonna go with 2 slots worth of railguns.
Okay.
Nice. We will
Wow.
be railgun happy.
You'll
Okay,
be
then
real happy.
in that case, Sean, can I make the argument for plasma cannon under the guise again of what phone? Stop. Why this? Who needs this? Under the guise of mining, that like the laser sword is like the drilling mechanism, and the plasma cannon is the thing that like you have to fire to like
to
break
like
everything
slag
apart.
the ore.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you
Once
go.
you drill down, then you slag the ore. with plasma
Gotcha.
cannon.
Yeah, no, totally.
Cool. Plasma cannon, by the way, has this really cool mechanic where it has to charge. So one of you has to charge it, and then you fire it later for great justice.
Nice.
Perfect.
I do love great justice.
Yep. All right, awesome. So now we're going to play the name game. Ready? So the official way to name, so some of the suggested names, I'm just going to read a couple of them here, but there are some suggested names for mechs, but everybody should, in my opinion, if you will indulge me, everybody should customize their own mech and go ahead and just name their own thing. So 1 second here. So they have some, I have some examples for the mechs, and are things like, 1 second, things like the Cassius Brawl, the Danger Hydra, the Maelstrom Paramour, the Tau Prophet, the Tornado Whiskey. You know, that's kind of like, names are usually out of two parts, like they're two sort of like words that are conjoined together, and that's the name of a mech. So the way that we usually do this is we'll have people kind of talk about maybe some themes, like, okay, so we want a spacey theme, or we like want some mythological themes or whatever. And then you can say, like, I'll think of a noun, I'll think of an adjective. And then we'll count down 1, 2, 3, and each of you are going to say a word, and we're going to try and join them together, and we'll see which way fits better, and then that'll become the name.
Oh, God. Okay.
All right. I believe in you. This has yielded some of the coolest names, so I have faith. So Sean's, because you were designing your modules first, you just get drafted. So the two of you are gonna play this mini game. So do you have anything you want to talk about beforehand? Do you want to color?
Go ahead, or we can just go totally random and see what we come up with.
Yeah, no, I have faith in our sync.
Do you?
Yeah. All right.
All right.
So on 3.
All right.
All right.
One.
So 1, 2, 3.
Whiskey.
Tempest.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So do you want Whiskey Tempest or Tempest Whiskey?
I think Whiskey Tempest sounds much
I
more
think
enjoyable to me.
I think the way we said it is exactly how it is.
I think that sounds awesome. So Atlas 1 becomes Whiskey Tempest. Atlas 2, are you folks ready?
Ready?
I'm ready.
All right. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Medusa.
Medusa what?
Earthquake.
Ooh.
It's fucking hot.
Nice.
See, I told you this works.
It's kind of uncanny how well this works. I don't think I've seen a poorly named Atlas.
You can get some people that kind of get jokey, so they'll say something like banana or like suplex. So sometimes you get like weird names if people aren't kind of like in the vibe. But in general, even with like something like suplex, it was something like ironclad suplex. I was like, all right, that sounds great. Let's rock with that. So
Still good.
Suplex goes with train.
yes, all right. I get the reference. I've played some Final Fantasy. All right, cool. So now you folks already know the drill. So I'm just gonna put the little things in. So now as a team, we get to design our third mech. So if you guys have like certain mechs to handle certain things, and you want to have like a mech that's just like all missiles, that's fine. But like there's a third mech that's going to be in the base. It's either currently being built or modified or upgraded. So this mech, we're putting it together. What do you guys want to mount on it?
I think we have
shield and
plenty.
jump jets. Do you want to double up, or do you want to give it armor on the feet?
You know, both of our mechs are a little bit more long range kinds of things. Maybe this one's designed for close up fighting. So heavier armor.
Yeah, maybe heavy armor and like heavy fists.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like it.
So BT dubs, in between fights, all of your gear upgrades, and one of the upgrades for heavy fists is that it gets lots of armor itself.
Nice.
Nice.
First mech to ever complete the fight against the last behemoth was an all armor heavy fist mech with 2 defensive archetypes. So
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, so I think this is just all armor, all heavy fists, and it's in the shop right now because it is the first, and it's like the most basic of the mechs, but it's the one that's lasted. Like a few others have been destroyed, and we've built the ones that we have now.
Out of those
or a
parts.
few others have been destroyed. This one just keeps going out and getting trashed and coming back and getting fixed up and getting trashed. It's like the most scarred and battered of them all. I think this might have been your old mech, if that makes sense, Sean.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it totally was.
That's amazing. I also just want to see a mech that has a cockpit and has like a gash, almost as if it has like a scar over one eye.
Yeah. I think it's the mech that has the cockpit like bolted onto it. The other these like we figured out we need to add them, but this one was originally remotely piloted, and so it's the one that they're like, oh yeah, better slap a cockpit on that.
Cool.
So yeah, I like that.
Awesome. So now we have to do the name game, but there's a little bit of a catch. It's Team 1 has to come up with a name, and Team 2 has to come up with a name. I don't know if you folks want to like message each other, or if you just want to say, all right, I trust this member to say a thing, or how you want to do it.
I'll trust Sean to come up with something.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Really?
go ahead,
Isn't this your old mech? Don't you
I
have
was gonna say,
something
I feel like you should take this, Sean, because this is your old mech.
Damn it, that's a good point. All right.
Jason, Harry, do you have an elected person, or do you want to discuss this for a sec?
Go ahead, Jason.
Okay, I'll try.
All right, we're gonna do this on 3. So this is the big ironclad original mech that's currently being upgraded. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go.
Titan.
Juggernaut.
Titan Juggernaut or Juggernaut Titan.
Titan Juggernaut.
Titan Juggernaut.
I
Yep.
think.
How cool is that? That's such a great name. I dig it. All right, cool. So we've made our pilots, and now we're going to talk about initial traits. And we've made our mechs. So we're going to finish up a couple of minor things on our pilots, and then we're going to take our first break, and we're going to jump into combat, our first engagement afterwards. I'll teach you guys how to sync, and we'll go through the steps of that. So real quick, let's talk about traits. So your character comes with a couple of things. You come up with a starting ability, which we'll talk about once we get to the fight. You don't need to worry about it till the fight. And fighting style, which again, you don't need to worry about till the fight. So the only thing that we really need to do right now is your initial trait. So if you take a look at your character sheet, you'll see that there's an initial trait section in the bottom left of the first page. And there's a little like a blurb / question. So go ahead and read that, and I'll explain what a trait is. So the easiest way to explain this is so this is a very cinematic game that uses a lot of movie tropes. And if you've watched like, I don't know, if you watch something like Rocky, like I know it's a boxing movie, it's not mechs, but bear with me. And like you see him get like punched and he falls down and he has this like short but brief vision of something like maybe his dad yelling at him or whatever, and then he gets back up and he gets into the fight. And you know, watching this movie, that this is like a little thing that's like a preview of what's coming up. It's like a Chekhov's gun, right? Like you just put it on the wall, and then eventually he'll have to deal with it. It's going to be a powerful emotional moment, and we're going to find out exactly what that means, and then he's going to talk about why that gives him like the desire to get back up and fight. So this is what your traits are. You should read the question and use it to inspire you, but you should write a very short blurb. Like it can be something like, a small girl holding one red shoe is the Pacific Rim example of a trait, right? Like we don't know the full story of that until later, but early on, that's kind of a thing that you see. And this is very common in anime where like, you know, somebody has like a vision of a half remembered like high school memory or whatever, and then they deal with it later. So you're supposed to come up with a trait that helps us get like a tiny preview of something that your character is going to bring to bear to gain strength from in a fight in the future. So go ahead and read your traits. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Oh, and once you write them, you'll have to tell us what they are. So just bear that in mind.
I'm ready.
Damn it.
I've got mine.
That was like 2 are done. It's okay. Don't feel panicked. There's no pressure. Just go ahead and come up with something cool.
Okay.
I got mine. Sorry, my
No, it's cool. It's
child came down to ask me a question.
What are you doing? And you're saying saving humanity by punching monsters in the face?
One of these, I'll have to show you the video that Kristen took while we were watching Pacific Rim because it was pretty amazing.
About it.
Is it just both of you being like?
No, he's sitting there like on the couch going. It's awesome.
That maybe makes me feel like a kid again. All right, are we all set? Thumbs up.
Yeah.
2, 3, 3. All right, let's go through. So everyone, just you should tell us your call sign and your initial trait. So go ahead, Sean to my right, which would be Sean Nittner. Go.
All right. Harry, I made this trait thinking of your call sign. My call sign is Cipher.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when we see Masika Rasul, we see her like looking at all these like strange wavelengths of like alien transmissions and like trying to like sort them out and be like looking at her boss like, I need to get closer to the signal, and then it shows like in Cipher in like the lower caption of the board, and then when we like flash to her vision, it is Alpha Outpost sinking into a sea of melting red earth.
Ooh, that's amazing. All right, cool. And again, I'm jumping back and forth, but that's okay. Harry, you're next up. I'm sorry, your order is like the little video lineup thing here.
That's cool. I've skinny, bony guy with shock of blonde hair, cut kind of with a brush cut, and he's sort of looking off dreamily, and the scene sort of fogs out and is taken over by a grainy sort of old film style thing where from the point of view of the camera you're looking up at a gang of 6 or 10 schoolboys in little German shorts, and they're all leering over you and yelling insults at you and throwing stuff at you.
Solid.
Nice.
Sean Hayworth, you're next.
So Hammerhead is kind of a medium height but like stocky dude, shaved bald. He looks a little like a soccer hooligan. And when we see him, he's like in the station commissary, like just got his tray in front of him, focusing on that, and like as he's looking at his food, it flashes to a pot simmering on a stove, like a actual like dish simmering on the stove.
So you're not young. You were on Earth before it all went to hell.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dig it. All right, and finally, Jason.
Falk. Well over 6 feet, and has that aesthetic thinness that would kind of give one the impression that he forgets.
Jason, you're cutting in and out a bit.
The very I'm having what looks like it might be internet issues. So
Yeah.
if I drop, I'll be back.
All right, we believe in you. Go ahead and try one more time to tell us what your initial trait is. We're supposed to break after this, so we can probably troubleshoot during downtime.
And
We may have lost them.
yeah, I think we're gonna have to find out after the break.
That sounds totally great. Cool. So let's call it for now, and we'll help him troubleshoot a little bit, and we'll get his initial trait after the break.
All right. Thanks everybody. We will, assuming I can get this right, we will see you all in a few minutes.